Fin fans, man, what a tough loss that was. It was a heartbreaking loss, to be honest with you. And the reason it was so heartbreaking is just, you thought all hope was lost. I thought all hope was lost, completely gone. And then to get that close, to see Jacoby Brissett, of all people, Jacoby Brissett, lead the Dolphins. And I apologize for the lighting. The lighting's a little rough in here, I know. Trying to get it working a little better, but lighting's just not set up for night broadcast, and this was a late game, so it was a little tough. But guys, just a heartbreaking loss, to be honest with you. You thought all hope was gone midway through the fourth quarter, to be honest. And all of a sudden, I'm getting ready to say, forget about it. I got to vent. The O-line's terrible. Everything's terrible. This team's so disappointing. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking over at the TV, which I have on mute at the time, and I see we stopped them with like 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We get the ball back. And then that drive that Brissett led us on, and all of a sudden the offense is working. It always happens in garbage time like that. I don't know if it's because it's a prevent defense. I don't know what it was. But, and I agree, Tyrone, that Jacoby played great. And I'm on, some message boards and forums, and you got people saying all kinds of negative nonsense about Jacoby. Like how much they dislike him, how bad he is, this and that. Look, Jacoby is not a world-beating quarterback. Jacoby is not going to win you the game by himself. Okay? But neither is Tua Tagovailoa. Tua was in there. I don't even think we would have gotten into overtime. I don't think we would have been where we were. Brissett steps up in the pocket despite pressure, runs around, finds the open man, has heart, so much heart. Stays calm in between plays, stays calm during key moments. He leads us all the way down there. All the way down there. I hated the two Wildcat calls on first and second down when we were down at first and goal. I hated them. But Brissett makes up for it with a great gutsy move, juke move, and diving into the end zone. Then he makes a great decision, great pass to get the 2-point conversion. Then in overtime, fourth and 20. Fourth and 20. He steps up, he runs, he finds Gesicki. Gesicki in stride catches the ball. Keeps us alive, ties the game again. And let's not forget about the two passes that Jacoby dropped beautifully. One to Parker, a long pass, and one to Fuller in the end zone. We could debate pass interference all day. People are going to say it should have been. Look, it's a close call. It's kind of crazy when you call pass interference in the end zone. Now we get on the 1-yard line. It's a little tough. He threw some great passes. He put us in position to win the game. The O-line had trouble during a lot of the game, but at the end of the game, they were there. Austin Jackson, he's got issues. He had that holding call. We got to get that figured out. And I agree. That shows why we should go out and get Watson. Watching this team, one thing that I've noticed, especially today, look, are we disappointed we're 1-2? Yeah, we're disappointed that we're 1-2. Let's be honest. We didn't come into the season wanting to be 1-2. We came into the season we want to be contenders. And doesn't mean we're not contenders now. 1-2 doesn't mean we're out of it. Patriots are 1-2. Bills are only 2-1. Jets are 0-3. Not that it matters. But we have a very good defense. Defense got gassed by the end of that game, let's be honest. It's heartbreaking that at the end we needed the D, and I really believed that we were going to get a turnover on that last drive, or at least a stop, because the D is just that good. They couldn't deliver this time. And let's be honest, the Raiders are pretty good offensively, especially. Carr's a good quarterback. They got weapons. They made plays. Simple as that. At the end of the game. But we need to figure this quarterback thing out. And we need to tighten up the O-line. But I think we even put a little too much emphasis as fans, in my opinion. This is one of the main things I want to talk about right now, post-game. I think we put a little bit too much emphasis on the players. Yes. Do I think Tua is the long-term solution? Probably not. I think Brissett shows us that he's not, because Brissett was doing things Tua wouldn't do. You could say he would, but you'd be lying to yourself. And even Brissett has limitations. So we could talk about the QB all day. We could talk about all these first-round draft picks we had. When we started this rebuild, we had like 5 first-round draft picks in 2 years. You think you would build like a ridiculously good core nucleus. And we got Jackson, who's not been playing very good on the line. You got Iggy at corner, who doesn't suit up most weeks. You got Tua, who may or may not be a franchise quarterback, but it looks like Justin Herbert, who threw 4 touchdowns today and beat KC and Patrick Mahomes in KC, might have been a better pick. But I don't want to dwell on that. But here's what I do want to talk about. We put so much emphasis on the players on the field. But you know what I see that's an issue with Miami right now? A glaring issue that I think is a real deficiency. It's really hurting us. I said it in videos over the offseason. The few times I checked in and I talked about it on the offseason, I said this dual OC, this co-offensive coordinator thing, I didn't like it, right? I thought Flores, who's a defensive-minded coach, who's a great motivator, who's got that portion of the game under control, I thought he needed to bring in an alpha personality, offensive mind, who was going to take hold of the offense and be innovative and run some type of system that would take advantage of the players and the talent that we had on the team. If you want to go all in with Tua with his certain skill set and whatnot, then find an offensive coordinator with a long list of experiences and a nice resume and a vision who's going to take charge of that and mold it into something. Give it a personality. Give it an identity. If you're going to go a different direction, go get an OC who's going to do that. What I'm seeing is this co-coordinator thing, and you don't really know who's calling the plays. It seems like, is it Godzi calling the plays? It's not working. To call those 2 wildcat plays right when the offense was moving with Brissett on, in the pistol or behind center, it was a bad decision. I didn't love the Gesicki pitch on 3rd down at the end of overtime, but you could nitpick that. It worked earlier in the game. And you're right. Hire somebody who's got the resume. I want an alpha, and that's one of the things I worry about a little bit. I worry about it a little bit with Flores because part of me thinks, well, why didn't he go out and get that alpha personality? Why didn't he do that? And I worry that he didn't go out and do that because there's some kind of personality issue with him where he has to be the dominant person in the room all the time. So he keeps promoting internally and thinking it'll work. That'll be his undoing if he keeps it up. I don't know if it's going to be the offseason. I don't know if it's going to be in the next couple weeks. I don't know what it's going to be, but we got to figure out who's our QB period. If it's Tua, I don't necessarily agree that he's the answer, but if they really think it, then get an offensive coordinator and get the personnel and the blocking scheme that fits him and go all in with his development, run a system that caters completely to him and develop him, or bring in a QB. I really think, look, the asking price is a lot for Deshaun, and his legal issues are hesitate. But look at our first-round picks the last few years. If we gave up 3 first-round picks, we would be giving up Austin Jackson, Tua, and Iggy. Maybe Phillips. Phillips might be a good player. He's coming on pretty good today. But that's what we'd be giving up for a bona fide top 5 quarterback. Would you trade those players right now for Deshaun Watson for a top 5 quarterback? Because I would. It just seems like the team To me, the fact that the team fought back the way it did, and they played that hard at the end, and they kept grinding, and we almost had it after such a dismal second and third quarter and half the fourth, shows me that there is a belief in that locker room. I was worried. I'm going to be honest with you. I was going to come on live midway through the fourth when we lost the ball and Las Vegas got it back right when they stopped them. That's why my TV was muted, because I was going to come on here and just talk about how, hey, we might have to rebuild again. We might be back to square one because it seems like the team's lost heart. Well, I was wrong when I thought that, because the end of the game shows unequivocally that the team still believes, that the team is still fighting, that the team's still grinding, the team's still playing for each other, the team's still playing for Flores. That was on the road against a good team, but there's no moral victories in the NFL. We got to start winning games if we want to be in the playoff hunt. And, it shows the team still has heart, so we don't have to go back to square one. We don't have to tear it all down. But we got to figure out what we're doing on the offensive side of the football. And I think another thing that's going to complicate the situation is when Tua gets healthy. Look, Brissett's never going to put up numbers where he's dominating so much that it's unquestionable that people are going to say Brissett should be the starter. Tua can't take his job. He's never going to put up those kind of numbers. But I think Brissett's going to do things like we saw today. And hopefully they need a W next week at home against Indianapolis. They need a win. We don't get a win against Indianapolis, the season starts looking really, really in question. But say we get the win, and say Jacoby keeps playing and grinding it out like he's doing. He keeps creating in a collapsing pocket. He keeps creating by using his feet. He keeps looking downfield in the face of pressure and delivering the football to receivers. And eventually, just like today, some of those guys are going to step up and make those catches. And next time, Fuller's going to catch the ball in the end zone. And next time, Parker's going to get a pass interference call down the middle of the field. When Tua is healthy, what are we going to do? Are we going to bring Tua back, sit Jacoby back down, and go back to square one? And then all the conversation is going to be, well, we had a suspect O-line. Tua was hurt, so he didn't really get time to develop. When are we going to make the decision of who we're going with as an offensive coach, an offensive system, and a starting franchise quarterback? Because I don't think the organization has done it yet. They could say they are all in on Tua. I don't believe it. Until they put the Deshaun Watson rumors to bed, I don't believe it. And until I see Tua deliver like Jacoby did today, I don't believe it. But you can't just sit here and say, oh, Brissett was so great and, that's the only problem. Look, the team struggled for a majority of and you're right, that is what's going to happen. It's sad because I know it. That's what's going to happen. They're going to make the excuses, and they're going to kick the ball down the road, kick the can down the road for another year. And it's aggravating. It's aggravating. And I hate that because we got to remember in the early 2000s and the late 90s how good our defense was, and we had Hall of Fame Jason Taylor. We had Sam Madison. We had Patrick Surtain. We had all these amazing players, and we let it go to waste. We had Dan Marino before that when the defense was bad. We always let these great offense or great defensive players go to waste as a franchise. That's where we're always like a 500 franchise for most of my lifetime, unfortunately, because we let these good players and good schemes on one side of the ball go to waste because we don't address the other side of the ball. We gotta figure it out because right now the team has, and I apologize again, that's that lighting issue. The team has the heart. They believe in the coach. And we have a very good defense with playmakers. And let's not just say that we only have playmakers on the defense. What about our offensive playmakers? People hate on Myles Gaskin, but Gaskin's a pretty good player. He had some real key runs at the end of the game. Maybe you want another bruiser, but Brown seems okay. You have Gesicki, who's a beast of a receiving tight end. You have Waddle, who's coming up. He's going to be a very good player, and he made some plays tonight too. They put Wilson away because he dropped balls last week, but he's a weapon if he gets his stuff together. You got Fuller. Parker's a beast when he goes up and gets it. Preston Williams is back healthy. We just haven't seen him. We haven't been able to use any of these guys because we can't get time in the pocket. We can't draw up schemes that play to their strengths. But we have a lot of playmakers on offense too. We got to figure that out. And I said it in last week's video. Figure out your O-line too. You had Flowers. You had Karras. You let him go. For what reason? Go spend money. If you got such money available under the cap, go spend money on the O-line. Fix it. You have some good young rookies. They played good at the end of the game today. Put them with some vets and let's go. But the reason I bring all this stuff up is we got to act, and we got to act now. It's just interesting today that the team still struggled. We put up 14 quick, but one of those was Roberts running the touchdown back on the interception. And, we had these momentum swings and these kind of crazy things happening early on in the game that don't usually happen. And as soon as we got out of that rhythm, we were stagnant on offense. We were stagnant on offense the rest of the night, pretty much. The rest of the day, until the very end when there was desperation, when Brissett just started creating on his own and the playmakers stepped up to the plate and started helping him to create on his own. Imagine if we had a QB consistently who had more talent naturally and was a little bit crisper than Brissett, but had his ability to create things. That's what we need to get for this team. If not, you better develop an O-line that's as strong as the Patriots O-line so you can have a pocket passer back there, game manager. But Tua, I don't know. They got to make the decision. Because we were stagnant for most of the game because the offensive play calling and the protection breakdowns were too much to overcome. Even though our defense held up for most of the game, those breakdowns were too much to overcome. And we were playing conservatively on offense too. The offensive play calling was conservative. It was very conservative. Look what we did when we opened the playbook up and we started being more aggressive towards the end of the game. We scored and we moved the ball and we did what we had to do up to a point. The offense at the end of the game did what it had to do. It was the defense that let them come down to the wire and kick the field goal. We got to figure out how to execute as a team. And I think the problem is we have very good defensive staff. We got good players on defense. We got a good defensive scheme. We have playmakers on offense, but we're kind of in limbo because the organization doesn't quite know exactly who their quarterback's going to be, and they don't know what they want their offensive system and their offense coordinator to be. And they don't have the right pieces for protection and things of that nature, and they have all these playmakers they don't really know how to plug in and use together, right? You can have a Waddle, you can have a Parker, you can have all those things. But they only work most effectively if they're on the field at the same time and you're drawing up plays and you're drawing up strategic game plans that get all of those players on the field at the same time and get those players to execute together so that defenses have to deal with all of them at once and therefore have to choose who to emphasize on, who to double cover, and that confuses them and gets one of them open. We haven't figured it out because I don't believe our offensive staff right now is competent enough to take charge and use all the pieces we have and execute a good enough game plan. And it's going to kill us this year. And you got to look back when you're looking at this team and you see how good the defense is, and you got to think 2 years ago, Greer and Flores had a multitude of picks. They told us they were going to tear down the entire team, gut the entire roster, because by gutting the entire roster, they were going to have enough assets, picks, and money to build a brand new young core that was going to be exceptional. And when you told all of us 2 years ago that we had 5 first-round picks in 2 years, you figure you're going to get at least 4 good, high caliber players, especially because last year we had the number 3 pick. The number 3 overall pick. You thought we would use those picks to really fill out the roster and build the core. Then you realize those picks were Austin Jackson, Iggy, Phillips, who may or may not turn out good, hopefully he does, Tua, and Waddle. Now, Waddle's probably going to be good. Phillips may be good. Tua may wind up being good. I'm not trying to bash him. But when you look at Herbert, I saw Herbert took a hit. He hit his hand on somebody's helmet. He shook it off. He threw 4 touchdowns, beat Mahomes in his house. Imagine I know you don't want to go back. You don't want to talk about it. He's not on our team, blah, blah, blah. If we had Herbert on this team right now, how do you think the team would be? With everything else we have. Just think about it. So it's kind of disappointing that we're even having this conversation right now in year 3 of the rebuild. We had all those assets, and you look, we don't have them anymore. They've translated into actual players. And are the actual players the caliber of players we thought they'd be to get us from a middling, mediocre team to an upper echelon team challenging and contending for a playoff spot? The answer is no. We look like another mediocre team because we can't get the offense figured out. But I just wanted to come on and share my thoughts that the main thing is we got to figure out this offense. I think the decision by Flores to go with the 2 OCs with limited resumes, who weren't alpha personalities, who didn't come from a wealth of knowledge on the offensive side of the ball, other than just being position coaches and whatnot over the years, was a huge mistake, and it's showing in how horrible our offense has been. I also wanted to talk on the other end about Jacoby Brissett. He tells us a lot. He tells us that when you have somebody who can create, who can escape, sidestep pressure, get the ball down the field, make multiple reads, you can be successful. And I'm not saying Brissett had a great day, and I'm not saying we were successful, but at the end of the game, he did things you wouldn't see from Tua. He did things you would see from Fitz. Now, Fitz isn't the answer long-term. Brissett is not the answer long-term. But just the fact that we're not losing anything at quarterback when Brissett steps in instead of Tua shows that we have to make a decision at quarterback, and we have to improve the position. And we have to improve our offensive coaching. And we got to figure out that line. It's disappointing that we're 1-2. But the mood I am in now, because I saw what happened at the end of the game, compared to the mood I would have been in if we just went out only scoring 14 points and losing, is a lot different. The team still has fight. We can salvage the season. We can come back next week and get a W. And I hope the offense continues to improve. I hope they figure it out. I don't think they will this season, though. Unless they make a coaching change, I don't think they will. But I will give Jacoby Brissett a lot of props because the guy came in and he played his heart out. And he wasn't really in a position to win a lot of the game. He was under constant pressure. Guys have not been catching a lot of balls the right way when he's throwing them. Guys have not been getting open. And again, I don't look at our wide receiver talent. You think they're not getting open because they're not good enough and raw talent? I don't think so. I think they're not getting open because schematically the coaching staff is not setting them up to get open properly. They're not scheming them open well enough. We got to fix that. But I see a lot of people out here, oh, how much Brissett sucks. Can't stand Brissett. Oh, only because Brissett. When you say that, I've told you this before. When you say that and you disparage somebody who played their heart out for your Miami Dolphins, who had a pretty impressive showing at the end of that game, when you say that, that's just your wishful thinking. You're hating on Brissett because he symbolizes the fact that Tua may not be the dream and the fantasy franchise saver and the future Hall of Famer that you really want him to be. Sooner or later, you're going to have to accept that. Sooner or later, Flores and Greer are going to have to accept that. And sooner or later, Flores and Greer are going to have to accept that their offensive decision and that Flores' personality that is a little bit too high on the ego, that went out and had 2 unknown OCs instead of an alpha personality, is going to have to be reckoned with. We are going to have to reckon with all of these decisions. And I agree, Brissett is a capable QB, 100%. And it's interesting to me because Brissett was doing things that you don't see from Tua. Now, Tua's arm may be a little better, but Tua's not going to sidestep pressure like that, withstand hits, getting pummeled, shake guys off his legs, and still look down the field and throw it 20 yards, 30 yards down the field. And that doesn't mean Brissett's the answer. It just means that we need somebody who can do that, especially behind this O-line. So we're going to have to figure that out. And the Raiders are a very good offensive team. I thought the Raiders they're a good team. The Raiders are a playoff team. And we're going to go back and forth with them like we did last year. And it is what it is. It was a great game. Brissett can play ball. But the Dolphins have to figure out their offense. They have to figure out their coaching, their personnel, and do better with it. They just do, because by the end of that game, the defense is gassed. The defense is gassed. They played as hard as they could, but the offense didn't score points for most of the game. From the second quarter through midway through the fourth, the offense didn't do anything to help the defense out. And by the end of the game, the Raiders are executing. The Raiders are making plays. They're catching balls in tight windows. Carr's delivering it on time. The line is getting that extra burst. The running backs are putting their head down and getting those tough yards. Miami did it to an extent, but Oakland closed it out when they needed to, and that's why the game ended the way it ended. But I'm proud of Brissett. I'm proud of what the guys on the field did, but the Dolphins got to figure out their offensive scheme, their offensive coaching, their protection schemes, and their quarterback situation. And I'm not blaming Brissett. I'm just saying if Brissett has limitations, Tua does too. And that's it. Guys, if you enjoy the video, please subscribe. I'm sorry about the lighting again. It's just dark over here these days. And again, it's not set up for night broadcasting. But if you enjoy, the content, please subscribe, please share, and feel free to chime in. I'm going to try to be live more on game days because I got a lot to say on game days, and then the video will go out just regularly. But that's my thoughts. That's my opinion on the situation. We got to figure out this offensive nonsense, and Greer and Flores are going to have to take a moment of introspection. Greer and Flores are going to have to take a moment of introspection and say, okay, did we make the right decisions with our drafting? Did we make the right decisions with who we hired to run the offense? And if the answers are no, they still have a chance to go out and change that. They still have a chance to go out and improve that situation, because the core nucleus of the team is there right now. And I'm impressed that they played with as much heart and grit and determination as they did at the end of that game. It shows that the coach still has the team. The team still believes in the coach, but he's got to do some things to rectify the offensive problems. We can't go into another game with these offensive woes. These offensive problems were going on last year, and they really reared their head more when Tua started playing, because Fitz, again, was able to run around and create things and throw the ball down the field, even if protection broke down, even if a play broke down. And that's what Brissett was able to do. Not as good as Fitz all season last year, but a little better this year. When Tua came in and there's limitations, then the offense gets limited. And Brissett has limitations, so the offense is limited. And I agree, Raiders. The Raiders are a damn good team. The Dolphins, I think, are going to win some games this year. They're going to win some games this year. They took an L last week, a bad L, but it's to Buffalo. Buffalo is dominant. Not that Washington football team is a great team or anything, but they owned them. They ran them off the field today like they ran Miami off the field last week. And the Raiders are 3-0. And the Raiders have a really good coach, a really good quarterback, really good playmakers. They've drafted well. They have a good defense. The Raiders are a good team. So I agree. It's not like Miami's the end of the world. It's just like there's a couple things they really have to tweak and figure out if they want to get to that next level that I don't think they're there yet. I think the Raiders are on their way to that. I think the Raiders are a playoff team. I know Buffalo's a playoff team. Miami's got to get in that category, and they're just not there yet. And there's certain things they've got to do to get there, and they're not there yet. So that is what it is, But it was a good game. Look, I'll take a game like that in OT, getting me through the end of Sunday night, just emotions running high, heart beating like, oh, my God, like grit and crazy plays and, back and forth. I'll take that any Sunday as a football fan over just getting pummeled or a boring game. So thanks to Raider Nation, by the way. Thanks to the Raiders for having, such a good contest in the back and forth. I really always got along with Raider fans. You guys are cool. We always there's no real hate between us. So good luck with the rest of the season to Raiders fans. Miami's got to get better, and they got to fix that offensive stuff. They really do. And they got to figure out, because I sensed that when Tua gets healthy, there's going to be this weird thing going on with the offense, kind of like last year. Who starts, who plays, who can do it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, guys, I'm going to head off. Please subscribe if you enjoyed it. Comment. I appreciate all the comments I got today while I was on. Comment some more. I'll be back on next week. I love to talk football with whoever about whatever. Send me any kind of suggestions. Talk more. I promise when it's daytime, the lighting looks better in here and everything is a little bit of a better production quality. But anyway, everybody have a great week. Enjoy your Sunday. If you're a Raiders fan, enjoy the victory. If you're a Dolphins fan, just enjoy that we had a fun game and get ready for next week. And powers that be with the Dolphins, I know you're not going to hear this, but listen to my advice. I'm telling you, it's not too bad. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you very, very soon. Have a great Sunday. Have a great week. And go Fins. Fins up. Later.